Hi, and welcome to A Better Place. As you know, this is our series on love and relationships. And today we will be continuing our discussion with Mr. Franklyn Meyers as we talk more about the personal side of love and relationships with him. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
It's a wireless system. Cable WTN. Go digital WTN. With local TV channel 10. Call and make a date. 542-5898. Down by overseas building, Ruby and staff waiting. 48 channel, fasting with plenty more coming. News and sports from all over. Novella, Creole and Patois. Local thing is priority soon. Papi Menton, Taki Taki. WTN channel TV 10. We'll always be your friend. Check out the scene, we have the best rate. 542-5898. Hey man! WTN K1.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. As I mentioned in the intro, today we will be continuing our discussion with Mr. Franklyn Meyers on the more personal side of love and relationships. Frankie, welcome back to A Better Place.
Thanks for having me once
It's
again.
no longer Mr. Meyers, it's Frankie now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's get right into it. We all know, or most people know who you are now, and I know that you've recently changed your status from being single to being married. And it is our intention with this program to bring about awareness and to help, make St. Martin a better place in terms of the information that is brought over to the public. And love is, what everyone says makes the world go round. And, if you can give positive advice to persons concerning how to, help them make their relationships work, it's always nice to have that advice. So, having said that, I would like to ask you, it's probably been a journey. And how did you know that Bren was the right person for you?
Well, interestingly enough, you said it's been a journey because that's what it was. And too often in life we look for the quick fixes. And I read a email post once, and it was actually from you a couple of years ago when I was a commissioner. And it said that it regarded something with when all of the novelty wear off, you're going to have to need that person to speak to and interact with. And Brenda and I were together 16 years before we finally decided to tie the knot. And so it took a while, and it took some learning each other. Of course, there were some bumps in the roads, and she set in her own ways. I'm set in mine. We are both strong-headed people. She runs her family business. I'm a politician. I run my business. So we both come from a position of being the one that's in authority, of telling the other people what to do, delegating. In the beginning, that was very difficult because, of course, who was in charge? And, of course, who would give up that seniority for the other? But after, and as time went by, it wasn't a matter of giving up. It wasn't a matter that if you're asked to do something or requested to do something and you agree that it's a step back, from president to vice president, if you want to call it that. It's just the way things are. And you moved on from that, and that was one hurdle. And then the other hurdles was, of course, for example, with me, baseball. I love my baseball, and I love my softball. But those seasons are long. They run almost 6 months of the year. And I'm a fanatic, and when I'm in baseball or softball, I really don't do nothing else, Everything revolves around that. That took her getting accustomed to. But then she's a carnival person in the sense of, the parade, and that's not my thing. I play mass. As a matter of fact, I played mass with her since she came out with her troupe. But above and beyond that, the preparation and stuff like that, that's not my thing. That's her thing. So it also has to do with giving the person the space in the relationship so that they can go off and be themselves and do their thing, and then when you come back, you know, you're one together.
Yeah, because I've noticed that with the two of you, you know, and I think that is might be the key in your relationship working, is that you are who you are. You know, Frankie's Frankie in front of Bren,
Exactly.
not in front of Bren. Bren is Bren in front, you know, and I think that says a lot. But why do you think that persons in relationship can't be themselves a lot of times when they're with their significant other?
I don't know, because
Right.
then if you can't be yourself with that person, then unfortunately I don't think it's going to work, because you don't have that chemistry. The person that you're with, you should be able to tell anything, you know, anything, and hold any kind of conversation, and that's the person you're supposed to let your guards down around, and more than anyone else. And of course, in the beginning, it's going to be a bit difficult. You met the person, and you have to, that comes over time. You have to establish that trust to be able to tell the person everything and to do everything, and you know, that in that realm. But as far as I'm concerned with Bren and I, and again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, you know, it has always been flowers and roses. We've had some difficult days. We've had some bumps in the road, some arguments, just like every other couple. But definitely, once you realize that those are just bumps in the road, and you talk about it and it's over, and you move on from it. And that's also key in a relationship, that if we argue about something today and we discuss it, that it's done. You know, we tend to, a couple months later, you want to bring it back up again. Well, we've already passed that hurdle, and that has been very beneficial to us.
So of course, like everyone knows, you would say communication is the key.
Definitely.
You have to communicate in order for the relationship to work.
Definitely.
Okay, you said that you've been in this relationship for quite a while, 16 years.
Yes.
I think I asked it already, but how did you know, well, early on in the relationship, that this is the person you wanted to be with?
I didn't know.
Okay.
You know, I didn't know in the beginning. In the beginning, it was someone that you saw and you liked and you admired, and said, I like that girl, you know, and then you start, and then you start to have a relationship, and you interact, and as time went by, you grew closer and grew closer, and as time, but what, especially for me, a relationship also depends on the person who's been there when you are on the mountaintop and your happiest days. And some of the happiest days, for example, was like when I was first elected to office, you know, and your darkest days. And some of my darkest days was like when my mother passed and when my father passed. So you put those things in perspective, you know, and you realize that when the joy is there and things are good, that this person has your back, and when things are bad, that person has your back even more, you know. And that is when you start to, and the older you get, the more you realize that, yeah, I think this is the one. I think this, you know, we refer to it as the one. I think this is the person that I can ultimately spend the rest of my life with, because after investing that amount of time in a relationship over 16 years, it'll be kind of difficult for me or her, even if things were not to work out, to go and start to learn someone else all over again.
Okay, well, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that. We have to take a break. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. So, Frankie, you were just talking about, you know, that after having been with someone for that long, it would be kind of difficult to start over with someone new and get to know someone and stuff like that. But there are persons who do it, you know, and obviously that person wasn't you. So you've been there and you decided to make that transition from being single to being married. What would you say then prompted that?
I'm not saying that it can't be done. There are folks that have done it, and I'm sure there are folks that will continue to do it. But even those folks are faced with, you know, you have to learn a person all over again. You've grown accustomed to certain things, and human beings are creatures of habit. We grow accustomed to certain things, and now you have to grow accustomed to something else. And the question was, why did you feel that she was the one? And that's why I felt, you know, it would be not impossible, but definitely difficult to, you know, start a relationship and, you know, just learn the whole in and out of a person again. If you want to say that, hey, after if this doesn't work out, then I'm going to play the field, well then fine, because there is no commitment, no attachments. It's just happy, joy. That's fine. But definitely it can be done. It has been done. And if you're not happy in a relationship, I've always said this, and I live by this. If you are not happy in a relationship, I don't see the need to carry on with that relationship. I believe the person's ultimate happiness is what's key. If you are happy is one thing, and then if all of those other things seem to gel, and even with you know, you have your little spats every now and then, which is fine. But if there are more good days than bad, and in my case there are a lot more good days than bad, well then yeah.
Okay, so that's what prompted you to make the decision?
Yeah.
Because that was my next
Yeah,
question.
prompted me to make the decision. Again, I'm getting older, and not because I'm getting older. It's just that I see life differently now. In your 20s and 30s, you have a sense of invincibility about you. You think of yourself alone. Everything revolves around you. It's me and what I'm going to do and what I'm going to achieve and when I achieve it. And so I've achieved a lot of the things that I've set out to do. And now you're here and you're looking back and saying, well, okay, now for the next haul, when it's about retirement and smelling the roses and kicking back and relaxing now, who are you going to spend it with? What are you going to do? Who are you going to do it with? You don't expect to be up and down again at
Right.
50 years, 50 years in the club, you know, or 50 years just liming, uncontrollably. So you started to make an assessment. And all of a sudden, when I would see older people, you know, wherever, sometime at the airport, sometime when they come on a cruise, and you just start to see them about, and you start to say, well, you know something, I want that. Your body starts to say, well, that's what I want. I want that. I want the, you know, that relationship. You know, you're there, you walk, you're on a cruise, and ultimately I decided, well, okay, this is it. Gonna take the leap.
Okay, and so you decided, were you in any way intimidated or feeling, you know, what if the person says no? Did that thought ever cross your mind?
You know, I didn't think that she would say no.
Okay.
The thing is, both Brenda and I, for a very long time, said, we were ones who said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we're not getting married. And a couple of good friends, said, you guys should get married. You've been together a while. We were like, no, we're good. Everything is fine. We're good. I didn't think that that she would say no. As a matter of fact, I remember when I bought the ring, the one thing I was scared of is that she would find the ring in the house and then ruin the surprise. But definitely not. I didn't think she would say no.
Okay, so what was the reaction like when you popped the question?
She didn't believe it. She thought she was actually being punked. That was the reaction. It was at a family dinner, and I got down on one knee, and her sister had put the ring in the cake. Now in Montreal, it was a cake, a Canadian cake, and in Montreal, this particular cake comes with a prize in it.
Right.
So when she saw the ring, and I got down on the knee, she actually thought that was the prize in the cake. And then when I was like, hey, I'm here, and she was like, yes, yes. But she thought that she was being punked. And she was like, really? Okay, guys. All right, like that.
Okay, and of course, so she said yes. And then
the preparation started, which I had absolutely nothing to do with.
it.
Because the women take over from there, and then that's it.
Okay, and how did you feel, now when it started to wind down and started to come to that day where you would have to say, I do? How did any strange feelings come over you? People would ask the question, did you get cold feet? How did you feel?
No, I think because of the leading up to it, and then after the proposal itself, I put myself in a place where I know that I put myself in a better place, where I knew that this is it. This is what I'm going to do, and this isn't about this isn't a crisis. This is a happy moment in my life. I missed out on a lot of happy moments in my life as a younger person because of the person that I was. I didn't feel that those things were important. For example, when I was in high school, I didn't go to prom while we had a prom. I didn't go to graduation, the big graduation ceremony. As I got older, I had no memories of those things because I didn't go to them. And so I figured, well, this is my time. This is my graduation, my prom,
Right.
everything rolled up at once. So I put myself in that place that at least now I have those memories to look back and say, well, this is where I got married. This is when I got married. And yeah, this is all of that rolled up in one.
Okay, well, unfortunately, we've come to the break again. When we come back, we're going to wrap up our session and talk a little bit more about, how it's been now since you've changed the status. And of course, again, your advice to those who are looking to become married. Stay tuned, we will be right back.
It all came from one man's love for chicken and his secret recipe. Thanks to Colonel Sanders, today we can enjoy a new sandwich. The Boss from KFC, the best original Sanders sandwich ever. Now his original recipe of 11 herbs and spices is in the chicken, in the sauce, and sprinkled right on the bun. It's the best of KFC in every bite. That's why the Boss is the boss. So good.
When I say Xerox, I know what you're thinking. Transit fares, as in the 37 billion transit fares we help collect each year. No. Oh, right. You're thinking of the 1.6 million daily customer care interactions Xerox handles, or the 900 million health insurance claims we process. So it's no surprise to you that companies depend on today's Xerox for services that simplify how work gets done, which is pretty much what we've always stood for. With Xerox, you're ready for real business.
Hi, and welcome back to A Better Place. So this is our final segment, and we just discussed, how you felt leading up to the actual day. And you said, it was a mindset, this is what you wanted, so there wasn't anything about cold feet and so on. The actual day came, and then?
And then it went. It came and it went. It was blissful. It was a good time. It was a happy time. And we had a lot of friends and family that was with us and made it very enjoyable. And time to time we reflect on it. It was really a good time. The whole trip, the journey, the adventure, it was great. Yeah.
So you stood there and Bren walked up the aisle. Any thoughts that went through your mind?
I told Leo when we were standing there, I said it's a good thing she never wanted to get married because I wouldn't have been able to afford the wedding. That's what went through my mind and we started to laugh, but that's what we was talking about because we never wanted to get married. And then we ended up having, you know, a nice wedding in Bali, Indonesia. Imagine if she wanted to get married.
Okay. Now, you had the very nice wedding. Like you said, it was blissful. It was a happy time. You came back to reality. You came back to St. Martin. Would you say that anything has changed since you've changed the status from single to married?
People, I get that question a lot. And as far as knowing the person and knowing what to expect out of the daily routine, absolutely not. Nothing has changed. But as far as the edge, and I can't explain that edge, you know, that's off definitely. I just feel different about, you know, about the relationship. I can't explain it. I guess those who have gotten married before me and know of this feeling, then yeah. But definitely that I feel different. Not like a married man, you know, walking around that, you know, with a sign saying like I'm a married man, but definitely the edge, it for example, I guess it took away a little anxiety that I may have had about the future, the very distant future, you know, that I guess I have a partner now for the long haul, so to speak.
Right. So you would say that there is a different feel.
Yeah.
Because now it's no longer, I mean, which I don't think you did anyway. Now it's always the two making decisions.
Exactly.
And no longer, well, you know, well, I ain't really married, so I could kind of do this.
Exactly.
On my own.
Exactly. Correct. Yeah.
And would you, I know you can't really speak for her, but, you know, would you say that for her, maybe she feels like it's different now that you're married?
Yeah, but she says the same thing. We spoke, you know, we spoke about it, and she says the same thing. You know, it is different, but not in the sense that I know she gets up in the morning, go to work, I go and do my thing. That has been like that for 16 years. You know, you know what she does well. What I do well. And we know that, and that kind of thing. But that sense of the edge being taken off is definitely there, and we both agree on that.
Okay. This question has to do with the marriage whole thing too, because I know that you mentioned it in our previous program that your mom passed and your dad passed. You know, how did you feel about that? Not having them there to witness that joyous occasion.
That bothered me a little bit because again, one side of me is saying again that also put things in perspective for me, losing my mother and father, and my mother and father attended all of the 6 weddings of all of their 6 children except me, and when they passed, it put things in perspective for that long haul, especially with my dad after my mom passed, to see how he grieved for her, and my dad and I are a lot alike. We're miserable people. But only a person who loves you can love that miserableness in you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And to see that as miserable as he was, my father wasn't a guy that liked being pampered. He was very a business-like, straightforward kind of guy. And of course, I have a lot of the same attributes. And it comes across as being miserable, but it's the way he was. But when my mother passed away, my father did not want to live anymore. He missed her immensely, and that's what's made me start to really think about the future and having that someone there, for the long haul. Shaggy sang a song, "Life is one big party when you're still young, but who's going to have your back in the long run?" And I think that's important. I'm 46. 46 years went like that. I can remember when I was 10 like it was yesterday. So I guess the next 46 will go just as quickly, and I won't be as vibrant and strong. And who's going to be there? The kids are going to be there for a while, and then they're going to start their lives. Right. And they go on and do their thing. So you need you need that companion, and you start to look you start to think about those things now, you know, and that's where that came from.
Okay. Well, you mentioned kids, but so your kids weren't young for me to ask that question. How did they adapt? Because they've been Brenda's been around ever since they were small.
Yeah,
So there's no
4 and
such
5
thing as
years old.
having to adapt to their
Four, 5, and 3 years old. They were when I met with Brenda.
Okay. Well, advice now. So what advice would you give to the viewing audience, persons who are young in relationships, persons who have been in a relationship for quite a while and not certain yet as to, you know, can I or should I make that
I
step?
relate everything to songs in my life. And I make a lot of reference to songs because a lot of songs express life. There was a song, I don't know who sang it, but the thing my mama used to say, take your time, young man. And that's the advice I will give to, you know, young couples. Take your time. For a marriage, and again, this is not written in stone, there are exceptions to the rules. For a marriage, I believe, to be successful, or a relationship, because I've been only married for 4 months. I can't speak about marriage being successful. But for a relationship, you definitely have to take time to know the person. You know, you have to like the likes and like the don't likes. And that takes time. And once you're sure that those things gel, and you realize that what you argue about is petty, you know, that you could overcome it. There's no argument that you can't really overcome and talk about it and then move on. Then yeah, you've reached to that next level.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for having been a guest and, of course, sharing the personal side of Frankie and, you know, of course, what made your relationship work. And I believe that a lot of the advice you gave can work for others as well. So I would like to thank you for having been a guest on A Better Place.
Thank you for having me, Angelique.
And to you, the viewing audience, I would like to thank you for having been a part of A Better Place. Stay tuned for future programs. I am your host, Angelique Rumu.